What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 729 of the Smart Guy Moment Smack Talk Hot Tags of the Week podcast. Of course, I, as always, Tony Mango, and joining me as always, Cat Williams and me, Fleece. And all of you who are joining us should chime in with your thoughts below on the comment section of whatever it is that you're listening to us on. If you are not listening to us on something where you can leave a comment, then head on over to any of the other ones that you can. Go to smartguymoment.com, send out a tweet, something like that. We got our Discord channel that you can join, chat it up, talk about Suri. Unnecessary shot I needed to take there. If you even know what the joke is, if you are in the chat. And, if you are on YouTube, then make sure that you also hit the like button, subscribe, ring your notification bell. No post show immediately following the Full Gear pay-per-view for tomorrow, because I am going to have my high school reunion. So I'm not going to be around my usual equipment and everything like that. But, we'll talk about that in some fashion. We will get into our updated predictions for that on this podcast, though. But keep in mind that, in the future, we do the post shows. So set up those email alerts if you don't already have that. And if you want to help us out on the monetary side of things, there's a bunch of different ways for you to do it. Redbubble and TeePublic is where you can pick up your merchandise, which I'm pretty sure everything's going to be on sale from now until probably towards like Christmas or so. Maybe even a little bit longer than that. So if you want to get like a hat, t-shirt, something like that, that's probably your best time to do it. And if you want to just donate directly, the live chat, the thanks button, and the join button, that'll give you access to the different tiers that we have over on Patreon as well. So if you want the Darkcast podcasts or you want anything else along those lines, that's where you can find that stuff. So the lineup that we have for this episode, some of the stuff's going back a little bit past when we should have talked about it because we forgot to talk about one of the things, but I feel like we should probably backtrack and talk about something that was a pretty big topic that we, for some reason, just all three of us completely spaced out on last week, which was the whole Tegan Nox thing in AEW. And since then, I haven't seen anything else that's come out about this to maybe clarify anything more, but Tegan Nox and Miranda Alizé, is that how she pronounces it?
The idea of people who I care about having to go back to that circumstance, it literally breaks my heart. And we remain hopeful, but we really do need our politicians to come together and say, this is not okay for people who came here legally and who the community loves. And I don't think everyone in the United States understands that the humanitarian parole process is initiated by citizens. It was me who filled out the paperwork, not these guys, right? We invited them here. So, all the money and the effort and the time and the people who love these families here in DeWitt, we're basically, at this point in time, looking at losing all of that investment in our friends and in our community, and it's heartbreaking. So we need to take a bigger picture, look at the situation, address the border concerns, but do so in a way that's responsible to U.S. citizens who love these families.
Let's take a look at what comes in our premium 14-pack Japanese Poker Pack bundle and how we make them.
Crazy.
First, we take a bunch of fresh booster boxes that we are going to then break down and shuffle all the packs together. We do this so that way all the hits get shuffled. This is featuring Justin this time, as he was making the pack bundles while I was away on a work trip. So he was making them for us, breaking down all the boxes, shuffling all the packs together, and getting them prepped for us to go ahead and put them into the bundle. So he will go ahead and take one of each pack that we're putting in the bundle. This is a 14-pack variety pack, so there's one of each pack this time. So you're getting 14 different sets, plus also a guaranteed SR card, which is a box set. SRs come 1 in 30 packs for these booster boxes, so you are getting something cool. So let's get into what comes into the bundle. So like I mentioned before, you're going to get the SR, which is a box set, a full lot of Pokemon, 1 pack of Terrestrial Festival. You're going to get White Flare, Black Bolt, Triplet Beat, where you can pull the Magikarp AR, Ruler of the Black Flame, Night Wander, Mega Brave, one of the newest sets, Mega Symphonia, another one of the new sets, Mask of Change, Crimson Haze. You're going to get 1 pack of Wild Force, Scarlet EX, Supercharged Electric Breaker, and last but not least, Heatwave Arena. You can get one of our 5 different varieties of our Japanese Poker Pack bundle in the TikTok shop link in this video.
Crazy.
Yes.
Alizé, not Elise. they had been, set up to do an appearance for AEW. They had had a couple little appearances prior and walked out. And it seems to me, from what I've gathered, maybe you guys have more information than I do, that they were booked for a standard tag team match. It got cut short on the time. It would have been maybe like more of a squash, and they decided, doesn't work for me, brother, and left. And now the two people that had to replace them are people that Tony Khan's thinking about signing. Lots of people have talked about this in roundabout ways. They've tweeted things out and said things, like, I think it was Dustin Rhodes had said something along the lines of like, if you are given a task, you do it and you try to make the best out of it and try to impress, and maybe that leads to a job, like standard things that would make a lot of sense. And I haven't heard any real positives on their end of anybody defending them, saying, yeah, this was absolutely, a crap situation and they deserved to walk out. Seems like it's just kind of a too big for my britches type of situation. And I don't know. It seems like career suicide in a lot of ways. What do you guys think about it?
I think that's the biggest thing coming out of this is when they went on Twitch to explain themselves. One of the things that Nixon Newell, Tegan Knox had said was, well, yeah, I'm done by the end of next year anyway, and I just want to kind of have fun, and it is what it is. There were no hard feelings. The vibe I got was probably just like, man, I just came from a place where I was doing nothing but 2-minute matches. I just don't feel like doing it. Not the way to go about things, but like, maybe that's the route they chose. There was also something about Miranda no-selling Marina's finisher, and that was like, weird.
Was it Miranda or was it Tegan that like sandbagged Megan Bayne or something? Right?
There was a spot in the match where both Elise and Newell were supposed to be a double German suplex by Megan Bayne, and they get and yeah, they're accused of like sandbagging because you can kind of see Bayne's frustration after the move happening because she actually had to put a lot more effort into lifting them up over her head. So, but that might also be true for the other aspect as well.
Because I had noticed that, which was, by the way, the only bit that I had actually noticed when watching any of their stuff was, I believe it was Miranda got right up after taking the mother's milk, and I was like, well, that was shitty. I think career suicide would be apropos, but I also don't think they care too much, which is unfortunate, because I hate when a really talented person just sort of loses the passion, and that kind of feels like what's happened here. But I could be wrong. What do you think, Cal?
I think, well, obviously it's just them being quite uppity about this whole thing. I feel like maybe it's just the cynical nature of me, but I feel like the reason why they're saying, or Newell is saying something along the lines of, I'm going to be gone in a year anyway, so it's no hard feelings, doesn't really matter too much, is because that wasn't her intention when she went into AEW to try and get a few matches, but now pretty much that door will probably be slammed firmly shut in her face. Now she's thinking, oh yeah, I'm only going to be gone in a year now, because fundamentally that's her last chance at a big contract. Because I don't know why you would even agree to doing those things if you're planning on stepping out anytime soon. Or
kind of a you can't fire me, I quit type of thing.
Yeah, that kind of attitude. And I think that, they went onto their stream to tell their side of the story, which they're obviously entitled to do, but with all the stuff that's circulating around it, because it originally started with the idea that they didn't want to lose the match, but then it turned out it was just a case of a timing for the match as well, which, you're more than within your right to be upset about the time that you're getting, but fundamentally you've been invited there to do a job, you've been paid and presumably like brought over with like travel expenses and all of that side of things to do your job, and then you say, oh, I don't want to, and then someone else comes in, so they bring in Maya World and Hyan to take the role instead, and then they conveniently enough get a 8 to 10 minute match on the next episode of Collision as well. So that's what you get for being like a reward for stepping up in that opportunity, and they will probably be looked at more closely as people to join the roster in the near future. And it's not an uncommon thing for AEW to do that. Like a lot of people that have come into the company immediately start by doing some jobs before they start getting into like more established on the totem pole. And they're introducing a women's tag team division, women's tag team championship. So if you come in as a women's tag team, like you might start by losing to the more established teams, but then you might start picking up some wins and you might start getting some opportunities. I think that just seeing both this and then also just their first match they had with Bane and
Shafir.
Yeah, Shafir was bad. I didn't think they were very good anyway. I don't think Nixon Newell has anywhere near the cachet that she seems to think that she has from being an ex-WWE person, considering the fact that she spent half her WWE career on a treatment table. I think that there's been, and there hasn't been much coming out beyond this thing, but I did see some people talking about how a promoter coming out saying that she's charging way too much for indie appearances and stuff along that sort of lines as well. But that's a typical ex-WWE wrestler attitude. That's not saying that she's just is specific to her. If this is indeed true, but it wouldn't be something that's specific to her. People just feel like they have an over-aggrandized worth just because they appeared in WWE for a while. And so if she's backing out, then it seems like it's apropos because it seems to be coincided with the business pushing her out at the same point as well. Because if you're not going to go back to WWE and you're not going to be in AEW after this stunt, then really TNA is your only semi-big destination. And then and also doing a stunt like this will cause promoters to cast their eyes over your reliability as well. So
then you can't depend on TNA now that they have that WWE relationship, because if TNA's like, hey, what do you guys think about this person that you used to have? And they go, well, we got rid of her for a reason.
I think Wesley would have to disagree with that, but we'll get to when we talk about Turning Point and his re-emergence as part of the Rascal. But
to a certain extent, but Wesley, as far as anybody's, I haven't seen anything about Wesley doing something like this. It's only the injury thing. Whereas if now you do this, if you're Tegan, you're not working with a whole lot of stock to begin with, because like you said, she spent the vast majority of her career injured, and when she wasn't, they didn't really push her. So
style and substance in the GMC Sierra, or get this low mileage lease on this Sierra Elevation for around $4.99 per month.
Why juggle kids in a cart? Try stress-free grocery delivery with DoorDash. Easy, fresh, and fast. Download the app today.
You get a boost if you're a former WWE person to, whatever extent that it is that you can milk that. I don't fault somebody for being I don't know if Cesar Bononi is on some indie and it's former WWE superstar Cesar Bononi. It's yeah, okay, go ahead and do it. You are, but at the same time, you can't promote that in the same way that Stone Cold Steve Austin would. And Tegan, she didn't win any championships. She didn't get any real prominent feuds other than the Dakota Kai one, and Dakota's not even in the company anymore, and she wasn't super high up for the majority of her career. So it's
the most famous thing she did in her WWE run was get her ass kicked in a War Game cell.
It's that, and if you're really honest, what's the most important and interesting thing that's happened with Tegan Nox? It was the double injury.
Yeah.
And it's Miranda, I think, was only in the one Mae Young Classic, if I remember correctly, and maybe did some, she might have lost a match on NXT every once in a while. So that's you can't hot shot yourself and act like you're coming in as, oh my God, AEW just brought in fucking Roman Reigns. So if you're asked to job, it sucks. It hurts your ego and everything. If you thought that you were going to be brought in as like one of those, like, you know, if Bailey comes into AEW at some point, they're going to put her in a big prominent spot. They're not going to do that to her. But at the same time, if, you know, they take Sloane Jacobs from NXT and say, maybe we'll give you a shot. Look what they did with Isla Dawn. Isla Dawn did way more than Tegan Knox did. And she was on, what, one show as a losing person in, like, Scotland?
Yeah.
She did
No,
it.
she also did the Ring of Honor tapings in Jacksonville. She was paired with the Grizzled Young Vets.
Yeah, and there's probably a good chance that Tegan and Miranda would have been brought in to do some Ring of Honor stuff as well, if this hadn't have happened. So yeah, it's kind of closed the door off them. I mean, I don't want to pry too much about it, but do we know how long Miranda and Nixon have been together?
I think it's at least a year, maybe, but I can't say for certain.
'Cause it does feel like, especially like if Nixon Newell is correct about, or like she's honest with the assessment that she's going to be in and out of the business in like a year's time, and like she's not hanging around for too much longer. Like, I don't know if Miranda feels the same way about that, and if she's like gone along with this, then she's closed the door to join like the second biggest company in the world potentially. Because I say, I don't think that it's one of those things that it's completely insurmountable, because it's just someone making a stupid decision, and if they prove themselves enough on the independent scene and become somewhat like undeniable, then it's not like AEW going to say, oh, she's super popular on the independent circuit now, just getting like big merch sales and stuff like that. But you know, she walked out of us that one time, so I guess we're just gonna let them go to WWE. It's like, but it does feel like going along with somebody else who doesn't really have, by what they're saying at least, doesn't have anything to lose, and just going along with that just because they're your partner doesn't feel like the smartest move in the world. Maybe you should be like cooler heads should prevail in that situation. Just decide and go, okay, we'll do this this match. We're not happy about the time being short or anything like that. We'll grit our teeth and get through it, and then like if you weren't happy about that or happy about the experience, we just say, okay, we're not going to do any more AEW stuff for now, but we'll leave on, you know, cordial terms and move on. It's not like it was going to like kill their momentum. What were they thinking? Like, oh, if we lose this match and we're only like beaten in like 3 minutes, like we're gonna run out of independent bookings. So people are just going to think we're losers now. It's like, that's not how it works, because you know, promoters know that wrestling is scripted and you were paid to do a job.
That's why that portion of the story didn't click with me, because I'm like, you can't tell me that they were going to come in and beat Marina Shafir and Megan Bayne or TJ. Like, they're
Or
in the
get
tournament.
some half-hour long Iron Woman match or something.
I can understand maybe saying, hey, can we get a little more time here? If they were being offered 3 minutes and they're just like, hey, what if we got some more time? And that's why I think that maybe it's just a case of, you know, Nixon was like, man, that's kind of sad, because that's what I just got away from, and maybe it was something like that. But who really knows, you know?
And it could be a scenario where maybe they had a more cordial exit from that, but the fact that so many people were talking shit makes me think that that's not necessarily a case where, you know, they met with Tony Khan and said, like, look, I don't know if I really want to do a squash. And then he goes, well, okay, we'll figure something else out. Thanks for coming in. It kind of feels more like it's like, I'm not doing that.
The smartest people on earth know how to spot a good deal. That's why they shop at Ollie's First. You'll save up to 70% off the fancy store's prices. So you go, you smart and savvy shopper. You know where the real deals are, where they sell good stuff cheap.
Ollie's! Good stuff cheap!
I think
we weren't there. So, yeah.
I think it's just like, it's sad, you know, because at one point she was very talented, and I think you think that sometimes these people will click better in an environment than they do, and it's just unfortunate that it seems like her career is just gonna kind of end. And I was a fan of hers, so you know.
But I mean, Tony Khan even said on his most recent interview that like there's only really one person or whatever that's been burned from the company that he would never bring back, right?
He did say that. I know that Sean Ross Sapp had also tweeted out something similar, and it was said that the person people would never guess. So I'm not going to try to hazard one.
Oh, I'm fully going to ask, what do you guys think? Because to me,
he said there's someone that he said there's someone we wouldn't expect. So
right.
It's not Punk. It's not Cody.
I feel like there's like three different levels to this, where there's a certain level of, okay, but yeah, obviously we were talking about this person wouldn't be allowed to come back because of obvious reasons, and we didn't even factor them in. Kind of like a lot of people were like, well, what about Jimmy Havoc? And it's like, yeah, I don't think that Jimmy Havoc's going to come back. And I'm pretty sure that he would be on that like not happening list. And probably somebody like a Joey Janela could potentially be there. Maybe somebody like Joey Ryan, could be on the list or whatever. But a lot of people can jump straight to, this has to mean Rusev. Oh, this has to mean Aleister Black. And I don't think that that's the case. I feel like that's somebody who we probably will never know because it's probably not a wrestler. Like some dude backstage was caught stealing, or I don't know, they fired somebody on their web team for sexual harassment or some kind of like one of those sort of things where it's just like, okay, well, you're not even a name that anybody would know, and that's why nobody would guess it, because Flip Gunderson in marketing really burned that bridge.
Wow.
Flip.
Poor Flip Gunderson.
Nah, he's the bad guy here.
Yeah, I don't know. I would assume. I just meant you're throwing out Flip Gunderson's name as though he's done something wrong.
I wonder if there is a Flip Gunderson now, and I'm like,
I don't think there's any Flip Gundersons on planet Earth. If I had to guess, like a wrestler that you wouldn't expect, like what about like a Mel or like just like somebody that was in this company that you just don't think about anymore, like Mel. Or if I had to go with a name, maybe Pillman, but I can't see it.
It would be kind of funny if it's just sort of like, somebody asks Tony Khan and he's just like, I don't fucking like, what was, like Amber Nova or somebody.
Or like
some AEW Dark person, Ryzen,
Oh man, Ryzen was on a lot of those early shows.
He had more matches than main roster people for a while there. He was on like every episode of Dark. There's a lot of people that were on Dark that were like, for a 2-year period, it was like, oh, I know this person. And then they just completely evaporated once they, became a bigger company. And got out of staying in one spot. I don't know. I mean, I don't really have much of a guess. I just figured I'd toss it out there. We'll find out at some point if people press him enough, but it kind of seemed like, based off of this media call, the information that I had seen, it didn't really seem like he was really saying much of anything. Like somebody had asked him a question about the new championships, and he said something along the lines of he created a new women's title, but not anything new for the men's, which is like
in Ring of Honor. In Ring of Honor.
Oh, he was specific about Ring of Honor?
In Ring of Honor, yes.
Okay. Because I didn't see that on any of the reports that I had seen. I had only seen like a generic little, like, here's the breakdown of like some quotes. And it was just like, I added a new title for that, but not for the men's. And I was like, dude, you got the national championship right here coming out.
Well, that so the nature of the question was sort of, hey,
what's with all the belts?
It used to be so much simpler with the belts. What's the deal? And he mentioned, by the way, the national championship will be defended in other promotions, and he confirmed that it will be defended at Ring of Honor Final Battle. And he said that's the first time an AEW championship will be defended in Ring of Honor. So that's interesting. And then he had mentioned how he didn't add too many belts to the Ring of Honor side of things. And I think it's just, these belts are interchangeable. Like, he was trying to describe the national title, and I'm like, okay, so this is just the original plan for the international title, but with an America paint of coat. Oh my god, coat of paint. And like, that just is what it is.
You've listened to many Bruce Pritchard podcasts.
Yeah, I legit
Fresh
did
painted
that.
coat.
Wow. I think it'll be fun. You know, it depends on who they give the belt to. It has to be somebody worth going to these other promotions, even a Ring of Honor, because, like, you're really going to be interested in seeing, just to throw a name out there, like Lashley against Blake Christian in Final Battle, if that's the plan.
Where he just, like, wrecks him.
Yeah, like, I'm not interested in that at all. So I like the idea of having a champion that can travel, because I think that is needed in wrestling, but it has to last more than the 3 months or whatever that Pac did it with the All Atlantic later International Championship.
Not buy the Quest 3, buy this instead. Never owning a VR headset, I finally decided to pick one up. It was surprisingly simple to set up, with tutorials making it easy to understand. The first game I decided to play was bowling, where I actually ran into someone's dad who just got off work.
Gunner took
You. He told me that his daughter's boyfriend recently came over and asked why no one had legs. Well, supposedly they got rid of it because people were simulating real life. But anyways, after using this for several hours, I can say that the Quest 2 is probably the perfect starter headset. With the Quest 3 coming out soon, they marked the headsets down $100, so it's a no-brainer. You'll get a slightly shorter battery life, but it can easily be doubled with the Elite head strap or the detachable battery.
Everyone's gearing up for the holidays. The best friend.
So happy together.
And the first timer. The neighborhood hero. And the out-of-towners. And it all comes together in a Chevrolet.
It's Chevy Red Tag. Now well-qualified buyers can get 0% financing on all 2026 Silverado 1500 models. Plus, Costco Executive members can get a $12.50 members-only incentive.
And were there any other, like, interesting things that happened on the media call? Most of the stuff that I had checked out was basically the same old kind of crap. Just, you know, I'm excited about this. This is great. Everybody's great. Everything's great.
There was a lot of everybody's great. Someone asked about the women's blood and guts, and he said he was very proud of them, and that one day for sure they would be back in the cage, but didn't make it sound confident that it would be a yearly occurrence for the women in the cage.
Hopefully that's just because he has the mindset of, I'll book it if I feel like the match makes sense and I don't want to force myself to have to do it like WWE does.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought like Tony Khan, both on like the like media call and the Hawani interview, was like, he comes across as far more media trained than he used to be. Like, he's good at handling this stuff nowadays. Whereas, like, I think occasionally, he kind of fit into this weird, like, he's now found this sweet middle spot where previously he was talking too much, and then he realised he was talking too much, and then he basically just shut up and just said the same things over and over and over again. And this time it came like a bit of a middle ground where he's diplomatic, but he gives a bit more away. Like, he talks about how there was never any discussion about taking Edge over to be part of the Cena retirement tour, and talking, and like, he's open about how, like, he's fully aware of WWE's usage of TNA and their counter programming measures and stuff like that, but basically talking about how he's not really like threatened by it, or like he sees through it as transparently as it is, but like doesn't see it as a major issue holding AEW back. And then I love the way that he handles any time that Hawani tries to bring up things like CM Punk or Eric Bischoff. With the idea about, let's say, like how Eric Bischoff like criticizes him and how he comes from a position of having done this before, and then Tony Khan basically says like, oh yeah, I obviously have a lot of respect for Eric and stuff like that. So I think that surely he should understand the position that I'm in, being this the position that he's in. So I don't know why he's not more not understanding, but like why he seems to be so vitriolic against someone who's basically in the same position that he once was. Like, so I think he handles stuff with a lot more I would say tact, but a lot more of a experience now. He's been in this position long enough now to know how to navigate these sort of interviews.
I think one of my favorite things from the Helwani interview, which I do legit feel was his best interview, because as Callum mentioned, he had gotten to a place where he was just like, no comment, no comment, no comment. And here he gave a little bit there. Like Helwani had asked him about, CM Punk and Jade Cargill and taking the photo, and he was just like, no, it made me smile and I liked it, and it reminded me of this time that we did this in AEW. And he also spoke about Jericho a few times this week, saying he can't speak to whether Jericho will be back, but he later told Adam Zapple he would love for Jericho to have his retirement match in AEW. So I'm guessing it's still cordial there, but all roads continue to point to Jericho's not coming back, at least in this go-around.
Kind of feels like it, yeah. Just like nobody can confirm anything because they either legally can't, or why would they want to? And then we'll start seeing a countdown or something. Let's go back to another thing too that we didn't get a chance to talk about, partially because we didn't know what was happening for TNA Turning Point. And the time that we did the hot tags last week was not on Friday, so we didn't get a chance to see what happened for Impact. So TNA is in a weird spot. They took a bunch of weeks off and for some reason decided on the night that they would return, which was to the night before a pay-per-view, that they would take the title off of Santana. And Mike Santana lost by the Call Your Shot Gauntlet trophy gimmick with the whole Frankie Kazarian cashing in thing. There was the TNA invasion for NXT with a bunch of people that clearly have nothing else going on right now, like Charlie Dempsey. Like, for some reason, I'm just mixing up with No Quarter Catch Crew people. Lexis King, Stax was there. High Rise was there. I think that might have been it. And, Ariana Grande. Look, I'm just watching everybody. Ariana Grace was a part of the mix, of course, too, but she's been a part of that for a while. Turning Point came and went. There were some interesting things that happened there, some things that are not all that surprising. And then we're going to get into some other like spoiler things for NXT but we're going to hold off on that at least a little bit for right now. So check out the Turning Point results. We don't need to break everything down, especially because it's like, who cares about some of this stuff? But out of all the things that had happened, the Santana stuff speaks to me more than almost anything. Curtis said he's going to retire like very soon. I was a little bit surprised about that, but
yeah, Johnny Curtis Fandango is going to retire in January following the TNA Genesis event. So that's interesting. I mean, he's had a long career, like I think what do you say, 25 years. So he can definitely check a lot of things off the list. He's a WrestleMania winner. He beat Jericho. He had some good success in TNA, did the Breezango stuff. Shout out to him. I think from the NXT stuff for me, it really stood out that not only are they, for some reason, rehashing this now in a weaker way, but there was also a moment where Ava came out and was like, hey, I can't be here every week on TNA, but I found a liaison introducing Ariana Grace.
Every dream has a story. And this is the story of the bonds between generations. And those who dream fearlessly.
You have the power to change lives, starting with your own. If you're ready to make a career move, we can help. Franklin University was founded on the power of possibilities. Whether your passion is healthcare, education, business, or technology, you'll find the support you need to make a difference. With online courses that accommodate your busy life and a tuition guarantee that keeps the cost of a degree within your budget, your motivation is personal, and Franklin makes it possible.
Franklin University makes it possible.
It's like Ariana was doing this for several months. Why are you acting like this is a new thing?
Yeah. It's almost like a new writing team came on board, didn't do the research that they had done before, and then said, well, why don't we do that and just introduce it?
Oh, I made the joke when the Santana thing happened that it felt like a very Vince Russo thing, which is just like, you know what they'll never see coming? Let's just have him lose the belt. And by the way, I like that Frankie Kazarian has won the TNA title. That's something that when you look at the legacy of that title, you know.
Had he not won it before?
No.
Really? I just assumed that he did.
See, that's the reason why I'm glad he's won it. But it didn't need to come now. It didn't need to come like this. It didn't need to happen at the expense of Santana, who literally just got the belt after they failed to put it on him in New York. They have this weird thing, because they did this last year with Hendry, where it was like, okay, Hendry beats Nemeth at Bound for Glory, and they were like, no, we're going to stretch it out to Genesis. And now Santana's doing this thing where he's like, well, I'm going to beat all the TNA people, or the NXT people first, and then I'm going to get my belt back. And it's like, why? What is the reason that you're dragging this out even more?
Part of me feels like, I know I always use this as my my measuring stick. So apologies if everybody's like, my God, he's fucking talking about this again. Part of me feels like it's the Star Wars sequel thing of, we don't have anything, so can we just hit the rewind button and do the thing that we did before and try to milk that? It's not going to be as good, but we can just try. Because maybe they have quite literally no ideas, and they're like, well, shit, if Santana's champion, we can't have Santana chase the championship, so let's just take it off of him and he can chase it again.
That's so stupid to me.
Wouldn't shock me, because so many people are just, they got no ideas. You know? And I think this is such a TNA thing too. Like, you build momentum towards this big show that, like, you know, Jericho's putting over in whatever capacity you want to, you know, give that credit to, of like, this is you know, this feels like a WrestleMania thing, whatever. I don't think it did, but you know, then TNA finally puts the belt on Santana, and then it's like, okay, well, we'll see you in 4 weeks, and then we'll just undo it all anyway. Like, all right, well, that's why you're not the number 2 company or the number 1 company. It's because you do shit like this.
That's why the phrase for years has been LOL TNA.
Right.
Like, what the fuck?
Never fails. I was even explaining it to Caroline because, like, obviously, like, you know, for the most part, she doesn't care, and I don't blame her. And but every once in a while, she'll ask me a question. She'll be like, you know, like, oh, is this one like an NXT one or whatever like that? And I've explained to her like how TNA is just kind of, they fall ass backwards into shit all the time. And I was like, you know, what do you think that you would do if you just, like, you had this opportunity to put this over guy from New York? You could do the title change there, and then you don't, and you drag it out, and then you do this or whatever. She's like, that doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, yeah, okay, so you don't even have to be in the like in the bubble to be like, the fuck kind of decision is this? I don't think it's gonna work out in the grand scheme of things, but yeah, is what it is. Wes Lee's back in the company. Shocker. But hey, that's good.
Yeah, I think it's positive in that, okay, cool, you get the Rascals back together. If it feels like a feel-good moment, but it's also annoying in that, hey, your 2 henchmen from NXT are on the show. Like, we're just not going to acknowledge that because, oh, that was the NXT me. This is the TNA me. I don't know. It seems weird.
I'd assume at some point we're going to get High Rise versus Rascals, and then they're going to cut a promo and be like, you got fired from the company and you're not our boss anymore. And he'll be like, yeah, fuck you guys. Yeah, that's basically it. But, yeah, on the TNA side of things, there is another major thing that had happened, but I don't want to say it without the spoiler warning. So, put a pin in that. We'll come back to it a little bit later. But as far as two TNA people that have been in WWE recently, Matt Cardona, Zack Ryder, pops up on Friday Night SmackDown, faces LA Knight in the Last Time Is Now tournament. Nick Nemeth pops up on Monday Night Raw, and Dolph Ziggler loses to Solo Sikoa. So those were the two mystery opponents, and no Joe Hendry, no Chris Jericho from other people thinking that, no Edge for all the people that for some reason thought that was going to happen. I am on like the positive side of things for this. I think, hey, if Cardona and Nemeth are friends of Cena and he said, why don't we put them in there? Then cool, he gets what he wants. And I've always been a fan of those two. They lost their matches, so I don't think that there's much of an argument of like these guys that are outside the company are coming in and these older guys aren't putting over these younger talent or anything. I think they came in, they had their fun little spots, and then they move on. I liked it. Big pops for them, too.
Style and substance in the GMC Sierra. Or get this low mileage lease on this Sierra Elevation for around $4.99 per month.
Ollie's deals are so good, you won't believe the prices.
This has to be a joke.
It's no joke. Ollie's Bargain Outlet sells famous brand name merchandise at up to 70% off the fancy store prices. Hurry in.
Ollie! Good stuff, cheap!
I was initially really bothered by the Cardona thing. Because I had written no less than 5 articles about this man saying, Zack Ryder is dead. I will puke if I have to hear that music. When I come out, I just won't go back to WWE. I'm doing fine on the indies. And then he comes out, and then he wrestles Matt Cardona in NXT, and then comes out as Zack Ryder on SmackDown to lose to LA Knight, by the way. Ziggler, same thing, but he had never denounced the Ziggler name or anything, and he was full blown in his entrance, like TNA baby, yeah, let's go. And so like he was plugging everything he was doing right down to wearing his like wanted man gear and all that. And one thing I'll tell you is people loved Dolph Ziggler in New York City, and people loved seeing Zack Ryder. They were all into it.
Wouldn't it have made a little bit more sense though if Ryder was the one that was in New York and losing to Solo, and Ziggler was the heel going up against LA Knight?
I will make the argument that maybe they were like, well, Ziggler will sell more for Solo.
True.
Because people were loving the way he sold the Samoan Spike, and I was a little bit surprised. Because, Ziggler, he was never bad at that part of the job. He was so good that he continues to just look up at the lights. But it was cool to see them. They're not signed. I think WWE brought them in as Zack Ryder and Nick Nemeth, particularly with Ryder, since Cardona was so adamant about it, because they wanted to sell the merch, because they immediately put out merch for them. And I thought it was successful, even if I felt like, man, it sucks that, after all the successful work he's done, he just comes back as Ryder and just is doing the Zack Ryder thing of losing.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, work is going to work. He's always going to say the stuff about, because at the time when you're pushing yourself as king of the indies and that's your kind of gimmick, then yeah, of course you're going to say, "Oh, I'm never going to go back to WWE and Zack Ryder's dead" and all that other stuff. But then when they actually come with the money, then you like, "Oh yeah, Zack Ryder, sure, like, get the music on. Do you want me to like get my hair up in a certain way, stuff like that? Just however they, yeah, whatever you want, boss." Like
he's always ready to be Zack Ryder.
yeah, exactly. So does that stuff, and you know, it's kind of like, in a way, a cool moment, I guess, for fans of a certain era, especially for two people that have been tied to Cena's career to a certain extent. I don't think like people would ever look at Zack Ryder and Dolph Ziggler as like pivotal rivals or even allies in Cena's career, but they have been involved with him through bits and pieces. So, and I think I would have more fondness for it. Well, one, if I actually cared about anything WWE does, but secondly, because if it wasn't just, you know, two more old people in a tournament full of old people. So it's like, okay, if you bring back like a couple of, I guess what qualifies for legends in 2025, I don't know if you even class that, but two like veteran heads into this, but you know, people that have already qualified or advanced in this tournament are guys like Sheamus, who were their peers. Like, it's not like, oh, bring back some other guys from 5-10 years ago when they were at their peak, and then we're going to tie it with like the up and coming fresh face guys that are coming up right now. It's like, no, you brought up a guy who's pretty much like, if it wasn't for like, I don't know, a couple of different scenarios or situations or like certain angles going worse than they actually did, you know, a guy like Sheamus could be in the same position that Dolph Ziggler is right now. Who knows? So like you basically, okay, we just brought back a load of guys from the 2010s to have a go to wrestle in the same tournament as a bunch of guys that we still currently have that were there most over during the 2010s.
Pokemon is just too expensive. I hear you guys. That's why we have our new Japanese Pack Attack value bundles, which include 6 packs, Heatwave Arena, Future Flash, Ancient Roar, Stellar Miracle, Wild Forces, and Cyber Judge. I'll include some of my favorite hits you can get out of these on the screen. Slide these down into our handy dandy little bag. Just in case you guys don't get any hits, we include one for you. Let's go ahead and select one. Alright, we got some good options here. Alakazam's awesome. Let's go with that Gulpin. I love that card. It's just too cute not to put in there. Slide him down in there, guys. Just like our other pack attacks, these are box fresh, guys, and it includes our favorite part, the cute Pokemon pin. So go pick one of these up, guys. They're a great value, only 20 bucks. So go rip some packs and have some fun. Thanks.
Chime Mobile Banking. Download today and get started.
So,
yeah, I feel like, first of all, I didn't acknowledge this, but the fact that Tony Khan had to address was Edge ever considered for the tournament is stupid. I feel like the biggest disappointment in this tournament is how, you know, John Cena had already wrestled and defeated most of these people, and it's not like, oh man, people are really clamoring for that LA Knight John Cena match. I feel like I pick on LA Knight a lot, but it's frustrating.
Realistically, out of this whole group of the people that are in this thing, it doesn't, like, even the people that are left, it's like, all right, so Penta's going to go up against Finn Balor on tonight's episode of SmackDown. Neither of them was winning. It's not going to be Penta versus John Cena, and Finn Balor just had that whole match with him on Raw, so it's like, yeah, it's not going to be him either. So it's just, you wait until Gunther. It's not going to be LA Knight. It's not going to be Jey Uso, like, et cetera, et cetera.
You know, and we talked about this last week, and Callum had the remark of like, we don't need to go through this because it's just going to be Gunther. But that's kind of like the problem is like, you could have casted doubt somehow, you know, but then you the lineup you gave just sort of reinforced. Oh, it's okay. It's just gonna be Gunther. Cool.
Add a bit of breaking news into this. Somewhat breaking news, should I say?
Okay.
WWE announced that Sheamus is suffering from a shoulder injury, and so he's out of the tournament now.
Are you fucking for real?
Well, not gonna be Sheamus. That sucks.
First of all, sucks for Sheamus. He's a guy who it took me a while to get around to Sheamus, but now I really love Sheamus, and I just wanted to win that IC title once, and we've proven with this John Cena run that you can do it at any time you want. That's disappointing, and hopefully it's not too serious, because like that's another guy who gets injured at this stage in his career has got to be thinking long term, and that really sucks.
Does it say if he got injured in the match on Raw? I'm assuming so.
Either that or it's a workout thing.
Yeah, it could be one of the workout videos he does.
They don't say specifically. It just says that he's suffering from a shoulder injury and just won't be competing in the next round. So I don't know whether it's.
So that's where Edge comes into play.
So I don't know if they just replace him with it was Nakamura was the guy that he beat. So whether he just gets substituted back in or whether they just decide to give whoever he was going to be fighting a bye to the next round.
He was up against Rusev, I think.
Okay. Well, yeah. Well, presumably what it was going to be is if it was going to follow the match on Raw, the semi-final from one side, for the Raw side of things, was probably going to be Sheamus versus Gunther, because they always like to pull that match back every now and again. So they'll probably just end up being Gunther versus Rusev instead.
Which could work. That could be fun. It'd be different in the sense of they don't have to do the exact same match that they've done before, and they could do something slightly different.
Also, that's it's so boring as well, or just in general, because even with all these older guys that have been in the ring with each other for a lot of stuff like that, you just have to say that one of the next round matches was going to be Sheamus versus Rusev, which is the feud that Rusev came back to the company with, was against Sheamus, and said, "Oh yeah, we'll just do that again because why not?" It's can't even give Rusev's only been back for I don't know, a couple of months now, so it's a case of, could you really not find him any other opponent to have except the one guy that he's really had any sort of feud with outside of Penta and Dominic Mysterio since coming back? Surely you could have thought one other guy for him to have the match with instead.
And that's the frustrating thing for me too. It's on Raw they did Gunther versus Javon, and I'm like, at the very least, this could have been your. Hold on. This could have been your final match, and then you're like, oh man, Gunther really crushed the dreams of Javon Evans, who had beaten a Sheamus, had beaten Finn Balor, right? So you're kind of making a star a little in Javon, but no, because we don't make stars, we just recycle.
Well, that tournament is going on, and we'll give more updates as time goes on. We're just assuming Gunther is going to win, and we'll come back around to that when the time's being. Let's go and talk about, I guess, some other stuff that happened on the Monday Night Raw episode. Big thing happened with Maxine Dupree. Should have said, winning the Women's Intercontinental Championship. AJ Lee returns. She causes a distraction. That leads to Becky Lynch dropping the title, which we just talked about the whole thing of why didn't you put the belt on Santana in New York? Why didn't you put the belt on Maxine in Sacramento? So that you can do a count out and a DQ and then wait 4 weeks so that AJ could come out. Couldn't have just, I don't know, came out then?
Tubi, free movies and live TV. Try it now.
You could have done something else along those lines. So I'm not a big fan of that. You know, congrats to Maxine Dupree, but to be perfectly honest, I don't feel like the momentum is there in a way that makes perfect sense for her to win the women's mid-card championship over other people. Because I look at somebody like a Michin and it's like, damn, they do not want to give that girl any kind of real positives. This is Maxine's second win ever?
You mean, I was gonna ask if you meant in general.
It's the second singles win, I think, that she's ever had.
That's crazy.
If I let me double check, but I had came across a statistic about that. You know, maybe she won like some 6-woman tags or something like that, but I'm pretty sure that this is her second win.
I think she's been winning on main event, hasn't she?
I don't know, maybe that could be the case, but yeah, main event doesn't matter. Which, by the way, I always sing this tune. I'm glad you brought that up and reminded me. I had mentioned before, I had confirmation from somebody that worked in the main event, production side of things, saying that even they don't watch the show and all that. So we talked about that before, but hey, WWE finally put the fucking Evolve champion on the fucking Superstars page.
Yes, and you went first and you messaged me about this, and I was just laughing because, of course, you would know.
Yeah, because I'm like for months I'm sitting there going, why is Jackson Drake not on the Superstars page? The guy's the goddamn champion of the brand, and you have Callie Armstrong, and you have that championship, and you just don't have him. Why not? And I guarantee you, it's just up there now because they are like writing up some kind of an article for NXT Gold Rush. They realized that they needed to tag him. Then they realized there wasn't a tag, looked in and went, oh shit, we never did that. And then finally put it up. It's like, my God, you don't pay any attention to your website at all, do you? Hence, go to smarkoutmoment.com. I've had that information up for, since it happened. But she's had nine wins in 2025, according to this. But that's, not wins that necessarily translate to maybe you should put the belt on her.
Yeah. So, and through the course of her career on like the people that she's beaten are Valhalla. She's beaten Zoe Stark. She's beat Ivy Nile and Becky Lynch.
And those Becky Lynch ones were the count out, DQ, and then this one.
Yeah. So,
worthy of an Intercontinental title? I don't know.
I mean, they're trying to do like an underdog story thing. I mean, let's put it this way: it's not like it's unheard of. Santino Marella won the Intercontinental title in his first ever match.
That was exactly the example I was going to use.
Yeah. So it's not unheard of to give a quote unquote jobber a mid card championship, and frankly, it's like not what this title should be. This title should be, a mid card title for a lot of other people that aren't at the level of the main event to fight for. The issue being that both women's rosters in WWE are so thin in terms of both Raw and SmackDowns that it just feels like you're just rotating in and out of fighting for, because Michin just spent all this time fighting for the United States Championship, and now she's going to fight Jade Cargill for the world title because wow, we have nobody else that's there available to fight for it until either Tiffany Stratton comes back or we decide to move on to the Charlotte Flair feud or whatever, or Bianca Belair comes back. So it just feels like Maxine will just hold the title for a little while and they'll do this underdog story until she either loses it back to Lynch or they push some other like big bad to take the title off of her, like a Nia Jax or a Lash Legend if they're on Raw instead of SmackDown. Depends on what the future holds, but yeah, that's like they managed to get her somewhat organically over with these victories over Becky Lynch and get her seen as this like underdog fighting from underneath and has pushed Lynch to her limits to the point where Lynch has had to has lost to her just in ways that wouldn't cost her the championship. And so, yeah, I think it's, in a way, it's, the blueprint is right. I just don't know if the person they've chosen to do this will work out, but we'll see. You know, she's blonde and good looking, so she has a ability to do something in WWE. In because those are kind of the prerequisites they have for most women that have succeeded in WWE. So,
I mean, there's nothing that separates her from the Divas era, as far as like if somebody were to take her from exactly what she is right now, plop her in the era of fighting Alicia Fox and Maurice, she'd be, okay, well, she's champion at some point, because it is what it is. But I don't know. I was sold on the idea that AJ Lee would win the title from Becky Lynch, and then, by proxy of that, she could get a chance to feud with Roxanne Perez, maybe a WrestleMania. Now I'm thinking either I was, dead wrong, which is certainly a possibility, or that maybe it's the flip side of it. Maybe Maxine is the one that's going to lose it relatively soon. Relatively soon meaning she could lose it, in a month, not necessarily next week. Maybe she loses it to Roxanne. And then Roxanne can feud with AJ and or Liv Morgan, because we don't know when Liv Morgan's going to return. So maybe the game plan is, if you don't want to do the AJ Lee and Roxanne Perez match at WrestleMania, maybe it's Roxanne against Liv Morgan, and this title's on the line on, night 1 or night 2. I don't know. Not exactly the call I would have made to put the belt on Dupree, but every so often something like this happens and it ends up working out in the grand scheme of things. So, congrats to her.
I mean, I cannot complain whatsoever. I've been pushing that we need to have short title reigns and title switches on TV. And I mean, between NXT and Raw, we're definitely getting that. And I'm excited to see where it goes. If nothing else, she can always say she was women's IC champion, and that's all that matters.
Let's run in here.
For what?
Well, there's
Kitchen cleaning, home decor, rugs and carpets, even floors, food and candy, toys and games, health and beauty, household names, patio and garden deals, outdoor arts and crafts are steals, all things sporting here and more, even electronics in stores. Show your pet some love, and your car could use a lift. Home improvement, Ted and Beth, come take your pick. Seasonal deals, and by now you get my drift. That was fun.
Save up to 70% off fancy store prices on the brands you love.
Ollie's! Good stuff, cheap!
So in the mix of all that stuff, we did get updates when it comes to the War Games teams. AJ Lee gets in a backstage segment where Ripley talks to her and says, I talked to you. So it's the implication is she's going to join the War Games team. You would assume that means that Becky Lynch is probably going to join the heel team to offset that. They had reached out to Bayley to try to get on the team and, reform Damage Control a little bit. And, I thought that was like a nice little bit of continuity for them to try that out and everything. We also got the big finish of the episode with Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. They seemed like they were the obvious picks to be the last two on the men's team, so we got confirmation on that. I got to admit, I ended up enjoying that segment a whole hell of a lot, despite the fact that there are issues that I have with both Brock and Roman for, political reasons. But, the electricity in the air kind of a thing. I can't deny it. The crowd was going nuts. It felt like a big deal. So if you take morality and ethics out of things, then, great moment.
There's no time for morality and ethics. This is war, man.
All's fair in love at War Games.
So this was the first this is the first full WWE show I've watched since SummerSlam. And I was surprised by my ability to get through it, but I also realized that I just ended up having a good time with the show. And the ending in particular, I think if you're going to overload a War Games match like this, and your whole build is going to be, hey, it's Roman and Brock and Punk and Cody and shut up, that's the way you're gonna have to sell it. Where, okay, you got to see Brock interact with Punk, you got to see Roman come back and interact with Brock. Like they did it well enough to where you go, okay, at least the one selling point of the match should be able to deliver. And overall, I left Raw thinking, really fun show. I'm glad the Garden feels special again. And more than anything, boy, they really need to make stars so that we can have this feeling on a consistent basis. Because that's part of the issue here is we don't have big enough stars to where every week you don't feel like, oh my God, it was so cool because this one interacted with this one and that one. You have to keep relying on your old stars for that. And we talk about why that's a problem enough on this podcast. But if they can manage to flip it, oh man, they could potentially capture some momentum again.
Yeah, for what I've seen for it seemed like a like very exciting segment to the extent that I in particular can be excited by something that WWE does. But it's like it falls into the same traps as it always is. Yeah, you put only people that are over in the ring together, and the crowd really liked it. Was fucking surprised. like of course. Oh wow, these are the only people that anybody cares about, and you decide to make a segment dedicated to them. So of course they cared about it. Like them talking about how, oh my God, Brock and Roman, we've been waiting for this story to resume. Dude, they've told this story like 20 times over the past 10 plus years. It's like,
to be clear, Callum is referring to the caption on the Twitter video was, "Oh, we've been waiting for these men to lock up again," which yes, they do quite frequently.
Dude, we're waiting for you to find someone else at this point. Surely, why are we? Because at this point, if you're just going to have these guys just consistently fight each other for the rest of time, and I'm not just talking about Roman and Brock, but involving Cody, Seth when he's back, CM Punk, all these other people, you're just going to have the same old guys fighting the same old guys over and over and over again, and then potentially, allow a Bron Breakker to slip into that and just be the one guy that gets any momentum out of it, then you're just going to be left with one guy who's over at that point. I just feel that it's the encapsulation of what WWE is right now. It's very much an old man's club. This is WCW.
Yeah,
this is WCW in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Yeah,
it's just that they're too big to fail.
And I felt that way for a while with WWE, where they continue to make the same mistakes that they constantly made fun of WCW for. But yeah, it's hard to deny, they're just relying on the same old stars. And be that as it may, like I said, totally hypocritically, I did enjoy the show. And I did enjoy seeing, earlier in the night, because this is the one part of Raw we hadn't talked about, Cena and Rey and Sheamus in this 2010 super team fought Judgment Day, and I thought, wow, that was really fun. And that's what Cena's final tour should have been. And he's gonna fight Dom at Survivor Series. Dom gets to say he had 3 of Cena's 4 last matches.
Isn't that wild?
Which is wild. But he's the one. He got a short mini feud with Cena.
He gets 3 matches in the final 4, and Bron Breakker doesn't get one.
Yeah, let's just be for real. You ain't gonna find no nigga flies me. Let's just be for real. You ain't gonna find no nigga flies me.
Style and substance in the GMC Sierra. Or get this low mileage lease on this Sierra Elevation for around $499 per month.
But Dom also was lucky enough to say he got a few of Edge's last ones when he was in WWE. So Dom, even though he has worked himself to that level, he is just sort of reaping the rewards of being like, yeah, I'm Dom Mysterio and I'm getting all these benefits.
Which is like, yeah, that's awesome for him. Dom's great.
I do love Dom.
So the raw stuff's raw stuff. The whole setup that we've got going on with the War Games things, we'll get into that in due time with next week's episode and everything. The NXT stuff there's a lot to unpack there, so I'm actually going to hold off on that a little bit and just toss this one out that's pretty quick. 3 people on the LFG roster are now part of the Evolve roster. Xena Sterling had a match on Evolve. She lost to... Oh God, I'm blanking on who she lost to. It doesn't matter. Trill London tagged with Tate Wilder and they wrestled as well. Drake Moreau had a vignette. And that leaves just a few people from LFG that are not accounted for right now. Tatiana Dumas doesn't have a roster. Bailey Humphrey doesn't. Chris Island, a handful of other people. Serena Linton's one of them. This makes sense. This is, what Evolve is supposed to be for. It's the pre-NXT roster, and I haven't heard anything about LFG getting a 3rd season. So if they aren't,
LFG signed on for 6 seasons, bro.
6 seasons?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, they have never said anything. Season 1 and season 2 were like, after season 1 was just ending, it's like, hey, by the way, season 2 is happening in like 3 weeks or something. And then season 2 ended and it just ended. There wasn't anything about, wait for season 3, it's coming up in a couple months or,
Right.
But then again, if you're somebody like a Bailey Humphrey and if you're on 3 seasons of NLFG and eventually you gotta just move on at some point. But Trill is fun. He's, he very much patterns himself off of the Hardy Boys. Drake Moreau has been getting better. Xena Sterling's been one of the standouts. So I'm glad that they're involved in Evolve. And Pineda Toilepa, PJ Vasa, she's doing her thing over there. So anyway, I know this wasn't a big topic, so I just wanted to get it out of the way. Let's go back and talk about the NXT stuff. And actually no. Let's hold off on NXT. Let's talk about Dynamite and Collision. That way, we'll talk about our updates to Full Gear. Then we'll run down the NXT stuff and we can get into spoilers, just in case people don't want to know the spoilers and they want to skip that part of the video. So I'm not planning on putting anything up that says like, this is when the spoilers are or something. I'm not going to do that effort. The Dynamite episode and the Collision episode that followed for this week had a handful of different things that changed the lineup for Full Gear. One of them being Bobby Lashley earned the number 1 spot in the Casino Gauntlet match, and Shelton Benjamin earned the number 2 spot with botchy ending for the Speedball Mike Bailey scenario. And it's not botchy in the sense that anybody particularly screwed up. It's just one of those things where, man, this would have been a great moment, but you call an audible and it doesn't work. If you didn't see the match, Shelton Benjamin hits a super kick and Bailey does like a flip, and the sound of it and everything was impressive enough that the crowd was just like, oh shit, whatever. And seemingly Benjamin tried to make the audible of, we're not going to get better than that. Like, let's just go with the finish. And Bailey was seemingly down for it, so he didn't actually put his arms up to, kick out of the pin. But the referee, forget if it was it Remsburg or, no, it was Paul Turner, I'm pretty sure. He knew that was not the finish of the match. So he just did the 1, 2, and you're like, ah, shit. I hate when that happens. Wish he would have just done the pinfall right then. But hey, if they edit that out or they figure out some way around it, it's cool super kick. So we're getting Lashley against Benjamin starting that off. It's pretty fun.
But so at first I thought it was botchy, but didn't Bailey also get help to the back? Like, wasn't he also like knocked out?
I think that was just him.
You think he just tried to carry off like something was wrong?
Yeah, I'd say so. I don't think that there's anything super serious about it. That there's not been any sort of like report or information about him potentially being out of the match.
Chime, mobile banking. Download today and get started.
Why juggle kids in a cart? Try stress-free grocery delivery with DoorDash. Easy, fresh, and fast. Download the app today.
At full gear, so I'd be surprised if anything was serious about it. But
Fair enough.
it's one of those things that it's just referees need to start calling things as shoots, and it's the wrestler's job to kick out. It's not their job to cover for the wrestlers. Like it should always be a case of like if a pinfall happens or something happens that wasn't supposed to happen, it should be the wrestler's fault, never the referee's fault. Like we have to start like creating a culture where the referee's completely blameless in this scenario, and they're gonna like treat matches as if they're like shoots happening. It's like a case of if you try and interfere in a match and you do it at the wrong time, the referee's looking right at you when you're doing it when he's supposed to have his back turned. It's like that's your fault. You're doing a bad job. So, but I'd say it was a good match, good finish. It was quite interesting how they went with the Lashley squash of Ricochet.
I didn't like that at all.
I don't mind it because I still think Ricochet's going to win the match. In fact, it strengthened my my belief that Ricochet's going to win the championship based on the result of that match. Because I just feel like they gave him the mic to start with. He was able to cut a promo beforehand, and then got overzealous and beaten by Lashley quickly. I just feel like okay, that feels. Maybe that's the way just my wrestling brain is coded, but it just gives the sense of, okay, they had him lose so convincingly here. He's definitely winning the title at the weekend. So it's good. It'd be cool to see both Hurt Business members start off the match and how they go about it. Because realistically, you could do a scenario where like they talk to each other in the back and say, okay, I'm just going to let Lashley win the title here, and Shelton Benjamin just falls down for the first 30 seconds and Lashley just wins it. But I doubt they'll go down that route.
Another finger poke of doom scenario. I mean, I would laugh. I would think it would be funny, but obviously that's just like the little troll part of me that would find that funny. It's not the actual thing that they should go with.
It's the one thing. Yeah, it's the one thing. It's like they have to eventually. I'm not saying it has to be right now. Definitely not on this one, especially if you're crowning a champion. But they need to at some point do a Casino Gauntlet match where the match is won before anyone else gets into the ring.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you waste that on something where like it's not the biggest deal in the world. Like it's
it's a number one contender for like a TNT championship match or something.
Yeah, like it's not like crowning the inaugural champion for something where people would be like, "What the fuck? This is already staining the title." Because like that you can't afford it on that front. But like if you want to do a surprise thing like that, I've always said like if you do a surprise thing every once in a while, as long as you don't do it in some kind of a scenario where it's like ridiculous. I wouldn't be opposed to a match ending during a commercial break or something, if it's going to be more interesting, or, you start off, hey, we talked about it before. You start off the Royal Rumble and somebody starts eliminating everybody one by one. They did it for half the Royal Rumble and it was interesting as all hell. Don't do it again, maybe, unless you want to do somebody who eliminates all 30, but, or all 29, but you play around every once in a while. And, I like the idea that Lashley and Benjamin are going to be going up against each other. So that way they shake hands, they start wrestling, you get to see that, and then the third person comes in and they beat the crap out of that person. And that makes me even more so, though, agree with you that I think that Ricochet's winning this.
Yeah, I mean, probably. Unless they're just want to do something that they haven't done yet, or go with somebody that they haven't announced yet. But I would go with Ricochet. I'm not interested in seeing Lashley pick it up, even though Tony Khan always does make a big deal about Lashley hasn't been beaten. He hasn't been beaten. He's this undefeated guy. But I have no interest in seeing him. Like I said, I don't believe Bobby Lashley is going to go to Defy and wrestle whoever their champion is. Maybe Ricochet will.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about like the plans when it comes to the national title and all that, but yeah, that's a fun little thing that I was not anticipating, because I was just like, okay, well, they're gonna, at the time that we were talking about it before, they didn't announce who was in the number 1 spot match and the number 2 spot match and all the other kind of things like that. So I was like, they'll figure it out. But that's one of those updates to that. They also had plenty of matches that are just, typical go home show. You got like Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong against Death Riders. And then that leads to Kyle O'Reilly coming out, putting Jon Moxley in the ankle lock again and no selling a bunch of kicks, and challenging Moxley to a no holds barred match at Full Gear. So if they want to push Kyle O'Reilly like really consistently, then he wins this. If it's a matter of it's time for the Death Riders to get some wins back, then he loses. I think it's as simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that O'Reilly will win just to continue it. But the no holds barred thing does raise a little bit of a wrinkle. But I think that's basically because of the outcome of the tag match, which was they did it quite cleverly, where you had Claudio uppercut Cassidy and pretty much knock him out, and then Moxley puts him in the bulldog choke, even though Cassidy's pretty much out in his feet in the first place, and just makes Moxley feel like, oh shit, I got to win. Like, it's crazy. I managed to get someone to say out. I'm still the man. I'm still the greatest. And I think that was interesting. But then he immediately gets into the ankle lock and he's immediately tapping out, even though obviously there's no match and no referee to call it. But so they've really pointed out the idea that O'Reilly is like a real thorn in his side, and he just can't withstand any sort of submission or any sort of situation where he has to fight his way out right now. But because they're doing it no holds barred, they could just have a situation where someone comes in and wins the match on Moxley's behalf, pretty much, by knocking out Kyle O'Reilly, and Moxley just picks up the scraps. So they could tell that story again, or they could use what happened in this match as a false flag of, okay, Claudio comes out and knocks out Kyle O'Reilly with an uppercut, and Moxley either goes to the pin or puts him in the bulldog choke, and it looks like he's going to do the same thing again, but O'Reilly kicks out and puts him back into the submission hold and gets the victory. But yeah, I was pretty confident they were going to do this match anyway, but yeah, the result of the match on Dynamite has put a little bit of doubt in my mind as to who's going to win, but I think it still should be O'Reilly.
We got the...
Yeah.
Oh, good.
No, I want to see O'Reilly win. I would hate to see that all of this is just leading to, okay, Moxley had a fun mini feud with O'Reilly, and then he wins it, because Moxley's as on top of this company as you can be, and he has a chance to really give back. And you could say O'Reilly's not the youngest star, and I'd have to agree, but at the same time, it shakes things up toward the top of the card, and Moxley's in a position where he can do that, and there's not a lot of people in this company who can give back in that way right now.
Right now in my head, I've just got O'Reilly. Just because that's how my brain works. Young Bucks and stuff, that's basically the same. Just, we're going to wait on that until what happens at Full Gear. Nothing new on that front for the grand scheme of things. But we did get the quarterfinals matches that happened in the AEW Women's World Tag Team Championship Tournament. Tony Storm and Marina Shirakawa beat Alex Windsor and Riho, and then Megan Bayne and Marina Shafir beat Tay J, I should say. I always want to say Tay J because it makes more sense, but yeah, it's Ty Mello, not Tay. And that also led to an announcement that there is a 4-way that is happening on the show where all 4 of those teams are going to be up against each other, and the winning tag team gets to pick their stipulation for their semifinals match for the tournament. So if Babes of Wrath win, they only pick the Babes of Wrath versus Sisters of Sin match for... Wait, it's those 2, right? Or is that the other way around?
Yeah, it's Babes of Wrath versus Sisters of Sin. It's one of the semifinals, yeah.
So it has no bearing on the other match. It's just one of those semifinals matches. I think it's a little bit weird, but at the same time, I guess Tony Khan just figured, I want to get these people on the card. I don't want to do the tournament in a way to actually do the semifinals matches on that, and let me try to make it for something. It's awkward, and it could have been done a lot better, I think, but it also could have been a lot worse. I have no idea who wins this because it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'd say it was an overcomplication. I didn't necessarily need to happen. But I guess as the way I was saying that they didn't have any women on the card, and now they have 8 more women on the card off the back of this match. So that I think that's the only real purpose for it. And the only thing that I feel certain about, I don't know who's going to win, but whoever wins this match loses their semi-final match.
Oh, absolutely. I know exactly. That's the exact same thing.
That's the only thing I'm certain about. Yeah, but I don't know who that would be. I presume it's either Sisters of Sin or Shafir and maybe even Titus Love. I will say I now completely have no idea who's winning out of the Timeless Love bombs and Shafir and Bane, because that's now just so close to call. I still think Nightingale and Cameron win overall, but I don't know who's winning the other semi-final.
I think that we're going to end up getting a Timeless Love Bombs win, and it'll be some kind of hardcore death match with Marina and Megan. And I think Marina and Megan are winning this tournament.
I am still leaning towards that it's probably Storm and Shirakawa winning, but at the very least, I'm willing to say I'm pretty sure it's not Sisters of Sin. So maybe the Sisters of Sin win this, they pick the stipulation, and then they lose, and that's the end of that. Or maybe they get to the finals and they lose or something. I don't know. But yeah, it's something. It's an addition to the card. And you have 12 matches on these events, so it kind of is what it is. The other match that has been added onto the card from this episode, Kazuchika Okada and Oscar Dorada were up against each other. They had a stipulation of double jeopardy in this, where it's number one contenders match for both titles essentially, and Okada wins, meaning that Dorada does not get a unified championship match, but Okada, on behalf of the Don Callis family, wins a shot at the CMLL World Trios Championship. And Don Callis comes out, he's already out there, but he grabs a microphone after the match and says, all right, well, it's going to be official for Full Gear. He's going to team with Yosoi Hechicero and Konosuke Takeshita, which, of course, is not something that Okada was happy about. So, to me, this is pretty boilerplate type stuff. They'll have a fun match. Okada and Takeshita will argue with each other. Hechicero will eat the pinfall, and the El Sky team end up retaining.
I saw a Lucha blog on Twitter try to explain why this match was so important to Hechicero and how these titles do mean a lot to him. If only he can make sure that his partners get along. Okada is shockingly really good at sports entertainment with his facials and his expressions. And I'm a little surprised that we're getting Okada Takeshita on the Tailgate Brawl, which will be free on TNT and not on the actual pay-per-view, but I'm going to guess that they don't win just because it doesn't make any sense. And, Hechicero can always take the pin.
Yeah, I don't think the titles will change hands. I think it's cool that on the Tailgate Brawl they'll almost certainly be the main event or the final match to get people interested, those last-minute buyers in to see this match and hopefully get people invested in the main show. It might even be one of those situations I did last time. I don't think they'll do the same thing, but it could be a situation where it carries over into the main show, depending on what happens. It's so interesting that all the matches on the Tailgate Brawl are tag team matches. I think that was the case last time as well, at Wrestle Dream. I think they're all tag team matches on the Tailgate Brawl as well. So that's where you get the most of your tag team action. But yeah, I think it's just a case of you continue to further on the Okada Takeshita thing, even though people say it's repeating the same thing, that they obviously don't want to tag together. I think it's just a case of Don Callis is just so convinced that he can get them on the same page that he's just going to consistently put them in tag teams together until they work together, and he gets this super team that he's always wanted between, like, in his mind, the greatest Japanese wrestler of all time, and then the next greatest Japanese wrestler of all time on the same team together. So yeah, El Sky team will win, but it seems like a really fun match on paper.
And I do like overall this Okada Takeshita little bickering kind of thing. Like, I like that Okada attacked Mark Briscoe, and Kyle Fletcher's like, thanks for not agreeing to a no hands on each other type of stipulation with this interview. And Okada's just like, yeah, like it's I'm cool to do it, because Takeshita couldn't. Unnecessary. I was really surprised he didn't throw a bitch in there. Paige beats Shibata, this and that, same old stuff. And then we get to the 13th. Is it the 13th or this is the 14th championship?
This is 13 technically, because like she was holding the interim title, and now she's held this one to unify the title, so it's still 13.
So if they wanted to, she could be carrying 14, because they could just have her holding the interim title too.
Yeah.
So, unlucky or whatever, number 13, Mercedes Moné beats Red Velvet and wins the undisputed, at this point, ROH Women's World Television Championship. So, tomorrow she's up against Chris Statlander, and that could be number 14/15 belt that she could have. I still stick to the thing. I just assume that Mercedes is winning that too.
Yeah, definitely not. And again, this is just another absolute confirmation about it, because she stood tall at the end of this as well. She's absolutely not winning the title at Full Gear.
I will never fully rule it out, but I don't think she's winning.
Yeah, it's the point of like, of course she could win, but it's a case of, if you're going at a scale of 1 to 100, I'm very much now, I'm 99 on Statlander retaining.
The fact that I normally would be makes me go, okay, I'm probably wrong. Because I have been terribly wrong for some reason this year with particularly women's championship title reigns. I have no idea, but I've had like a complete inability to predict those for like half of the title changes. And some of them are just because it's like, okay, well, they're just doing really stupid things. Like, why is Jordan Grace losing every fucking thing constantly? And then some other things are like, what do you mean you're gonna, take the belt off at somebody and put the belt off on them again a few weeks later? Or, what's up with Julia winning that title, and she wins the title at the beginning of the year, then she loses it, and then she gets another title later in the year and she doesn't do anything with it and loses it. It's all kind of insanity. But I'm like, at this point, 2025, I'm just batting a very low record for this. So I'm just going to assume I'm wrong. And I would normally say Mercedes is not going to win, which probably means that she will. Although now that I'm saying that she probably will win, she probably won't. Pick your lane, AEW. Am I right or am I wrong about either of them?
Wow, Tony, such main character energy and ego.
To be fair, I have no proof that I'm not the main character. For all I know, I am. Saw a great TikTok the other day, random aside, of a guy just going up to another guy at like a baseball game or something, sitting down next to him and being like, "Look forward, Agent K," and like whatever, telling him about like this Russian operatives, whatever. Here are your tickets, and he just hands him a normal piece of paper. And like, it said something like, making other people feel like the main character. Like, yeah,
Microsoft AI forms a superintelligence team.
Double Delta NQ on the 42.
bands touch NQ on the 89.
Welcome aboard, everyone.
What exactly is Algobox, and why do our traders absolutely love it?
Michael Oathrew.
Skip.NQ on the board.
Are you ready indeed? Good morning. Can't believe it's already Thursday this week. Let's see if I can find the right button to press here.
These stocks Europe.
There we go. All right.
Session low, down 0 spots.
Good morning. Good morning. We've got the new version of well, I don't want to say we. I will be using the new version of Algobox, making sure I don't have any final any other final items that I need to make changes to. But the new release should be coming out very soon, so get hyped about that. We've got the new website out. If you guys have not seen it yet, head on over to algoboxpro.com. New modern look and feel. And speaking of new modern updated looks and feels, let's see, can you tell the difference in the charts? Let me get a zoom back here a bit. If you've been around a while, you'll probably notice, or maybe you won't, I don't know, it's subtle. There are some subtle visual differences. And let me bring in, let's pop out chat here. All right, good morning, Plutonium. Good morning, Joe. Good morning, David. Good morning, Jimmy. Late Nate is here. Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Wind Rider.
DCD.
Good morning, Captain Rex. Good morning, Pete.
Divergence down.
We've got the Botrix in the house. Good morning, Eddie. Thank you for that real-time protection reminder. Don't forget, if you have not turned off your real-time protection there, you want to get that turned off so your PC is running as fast as she can. Tom K, good morning. Good to see you, sir. We've got ultra low latency in the live streams now, so that should be easier for interactions in here as well. Now, the quality level has kind of gone down a little bit, so 1080p. In fact, that might have looked a little weird, come to think of it. Let me look at that real quick. Let me see what that looks like on the phone. That is 4K squeezed into 1080p, but YouTube only allows ultra low latency on 1080p, so we couldn't live stream 4K and have ultra low latency at the same time.
Fib.NQ on the 4. Fib.NQ on the 4.
All right, there we go. It looks okay at a distance. I can't really tell the difference, but all right, let's get to it. First trade of the morning back here. I was getting the live stream going there this morning. There was also a red dot there. I've refreshed the screens there from earlier trying to get the live stream started up there this morning. Man, can't believe this is a full dropout. I exited early then. I'm going to do Control R, remove all the drawing objects from yesterday. And we shall start again. Currently in moderate sell on the Mac V Ultimate. That is telling us the direction of the nerd. NASDAQ, ES, RTY, and the Dow combined into one. Good morning, Alex. Trump is speaking right now? Oh, let me find that. He's speaking early today, huh? Before the market open? Let me see if I can find that Trump talk. Anybody know where that might be? Captain Rex, did you get that on? Is there a YouTube link that you got? Perhaps? Let me see. Trump speaking live. Let's see. Live streaming daily, exposing the shady friend, trading triumph. I'm the ruler of the trade. With Algobox by my side, no mistake can be made. Wrecking scammers make my live streams every day. Taking on the market, I'm here to stay. Breaking the codes, unraveling the scam. With Algobox in my hands, high in demand. Charts and graphs, it's a master plan. I got the upper hand, they can't withstand. I'm a trader on a mission with algos in my hand. Using algos on each trader, I'm playing the big brand. I've seen all the scams like ICT, bringing false hope. But I'm here to expose them with my trading scope. With my trading scope. The fading algorithms, I'm a beast in this game. No competition, I'm taking names. All right. Do I have Financial Juice turned on? Yes, in fact, I heard him chatting earlier, so we're ready to go. We're still about 10 minutes from the US Open.
Double Delta NQ on the 4.
If you are brand new with us, make sure and download and install the 2-week free trial so you can follow along. No strings attached. We're not going to send you a bunch of emails. We send you one email for you to download, and then some people complain afterwards. They're like, hey, I didn't get any more emails after that. Yeah. We just give you the product. If you like it, great. Let's see what Financial Juice has to say on who's there. We got Microsoft AI forms a super intelligence team. Oh my. Nancy Pelosi is retiring. Okay, so let me back up. I thought that had already been announced. Didn't she already renounce that or announce? We should renounce her, but hasn't she already announced that she was retiring? But I see that as a headline today. Announces her retirement from U.S. Congress. U.S. announces changes in the reciprocal tariff rates in China after their agreement. effective Fed funds rate 3.87, November 5th. Russia's Volgograd oil refinery has halted operations following a Ukrainian drone attack. 3 industry sources. Let's see the price of oil.
NQ on the 9.
I see a down move. That's odd. Well, I don't see anything correlated on the charts to that headline. Ed Goolsby, I may be reluctant to continue the rate cutting cycle. Okay, now that's a big headline. It is marked in red as well. If everybody's expectations were that they were going to continue to cut rates, and that might have been the extra exuberance in the markets, we have seen the bulls be absolutely relentless. Here's the high time frame. So this was yesterday. Had the 3 tap up top, all the way up, 1, 2, and 3 to complete the move. Return back inside, and then all the way back up here. Tapped into a cipher butterfly here and returned to the golden ropes inside on the 89. All right, another news items for timings. We will have 10 a.m. IVPMI. And then we have a 10:30. So a medium at 10, red at 10:30, and some others at 10:30. Then we got 11. So some steady flow of news here this morning that might help us out with some volatility spikes in there on those timed events. So 10 a.m. no 9:45. We've got the US Open coming up here in 5 minutes. Getting settled in here. And let me get the chat on screen. I see our bots posting the links there for you. If you have not done the 2-week free trial or gotten that set up yet, there's the link there. No worries, Captain Rex. Yeah, I know he was all chatty Cathy yesterday. He had a big to do yesterday. Talking a lot. Let's see. Good morning, Ninja Scalp. Good morning, Pablo. Okay, we got a couple of ready DDs back to back here, so I will look for the next play here. I've got 4 minutes till the US Open, so maybe enough time to slip one in there. We currently have valid speed. It feels too slow, but the official is that we've got some valid speed here. So I'll look for the next play. Technically, there was a bat right in there, right on the ready DD. So that might have been it. On the high time frame, we had a 4.9 and another, and a color shift there. Very interesting setup here up on the 9s. Currently inside the fiddle zone. on the flat line, so probably not going to be excited to really jump on anything. Completely flat 0 right there on the fiddle zone. And if you've been following along or gotten through the training, you know if we are on the flat, pressing the button is probably not where it's at. Make sure you get through the 8-day boot camp while it is free. If you head to our website, click on training. Right now, that section is free. Still have some edits on that. Been focused on getting the code ready for the release here, but I will get back to finishing up those edits on the boot camp, and then those will be behind a paywall. Well, whenever we get that done on the website. The website has been released, looking awesome. Here's our new updated website. If you haven't checked it out yet, head on over there, give it a peek. There's a link to get your 2-week free trial, or you can click Start Now at the top, and that will take you to the form to get that going for yourself. Under Resources here, you select Training right here. We may move this, but for right now, it's under Resources, Training. I will probably stick Training right here next to Features, something around there. If you are wondering which firms you can use our code AlgoBox with, you can click right up here on firms, and you've got the list over here on the left. There will be another column added soon that will tell us how many how many accounts you can do per. That will become important as I launch up our small account challenge. As I get the new code release out, which will fix, I'm going to call it a bug, but I'd like to add it as a feature enhancement that we will be making a couple changes to the trade copier, and that will become important during that small account challenge where I will do multiple account copies. Okay, we are about 20 seconds from the US Open, so I'm going to turn on full auto here and sit on hands, let the tools do the work here at the Open for the first 5 minutes. I'm going to go 4 bigs here.
Lower bands touch NQ on the 42.
There we go. All right, got full auto turned on. Here we go. Here's the Open, and I'm gonna take my fingers off the triggers here for the first 5 minutes. If an Enigma shows up in here, it will take the play.
Max 7, buy side, 2 million.
Also have the bots on across the boards up top. They're up 1,300. I'm actually going to flatten them out now. Flatten all, 1,390 for the bots. I'm going to go ahead and turn full auto off on
the 4.
The 4. Let me show you guys what that is. So if you are new with us, up here at the top left of my screen, the way I have this laid out, I've got I'm on a 4K screen here on this one. Let's see if I can get this.
Lower bands touch NQ on the 89.
Always on top window there.
On the 4.
So up top here in this area, I've got the 4 correlateds, the nerd up here, NASDAQ, ES, RTY, and the Dow. And then I've got 2 right here, gold and crude oil. Each of these panels represents a full auto control, and I ran that on all 6 here this morning, and the bots are up 1,390. So I generally kind of have a thing where if they've run up 1,000, between 1,000 and 2,000, I'll close it out, discretionarily going, okay, go ahead and flatten all. Press the flatten all button right here on any one of the panels, and that will close out all the positions in that account. Then I turn off full auto with the little full auto buttons right there.
Enigma long on the
and they're up 1,300. Good contributors to the pie there this morning. Good morning, Fish and Ticks. Game on, that's right, Keegs. Good morning, Diego. Good morning, Mr. Gardner.
Fib.NQ on the 4. Fib.NQ on the 42. Divergence down NQ on the 9.
Good morning, Gary. Crossbow in the house. Good morning. Dak, good morning.
Fib.NQ on the 9.
3 minutes past the open. 2 more minutes to sit on hands here, let the tools do the work, and then I'll step in. Okay, the bots just took a trade there. Looks like the stop is a little close. The stop should be back behind the Enigma there, but it is set to the ATM. All right, stopped out there on that Enigma, 17.3. I'm going to mark that spot here.
Double Delta NQ on the 4.
Got sliced through there. High time frame on the 9s. You can kind of see there's a big red dot pushed in from the top. Still continuing on the downside movement there.
Enigma long on the RTY2. Double Delta NQ on the 4.
Coming back through that, so I could 2-try rule it. I'm gonna toe in the water, press a 1 on it.
Target filled.
Fib.NQ on the 4.
Into a red dot there.
Enigma long on the RTY2.
All right, that was very sloppy.
Double Delta NQ on the 9. Double Delta NQ on the 4.
So whenever I mark one of those, what I should have done was pressed F6 so I had the line and entered in sooner. I did not enter in quick enough, hit the target perfectly, and then a red dot showed up and I should have mashed the button, but I thought it might wiggle right there and tried to hold out for a few more ticks.
Double Delta NQ on the 9.
Got slapped around on that one.
Lower bands touch NQ on the 40 Delta NQ.
All right, 8.6 right here. Ready DD. What's our time? All right, we are 9:35, so I can start to take over here. Right at the daily P point. High time frame might be an area where we could potentially have a bounce or move into some accumulation.
Lower bands touch NQ on the 42. NQ double on the Delta 4. NQ on the 4.
There's a super dot short.
NQ on the 4.
Nope.
NQ on the 43. Fib.NQ on the 4.
Headshot long right there. Still trying to go along with the moderate sell here. Up into a masher.
J-hook
See if we pierce that. Okay, I'm gonna go for it one more time.
Target filled. Target filled.
Double Delta NQ on the 4.
No, not my day here this morning. A lot of speed there, and my ATMs are not helping me out. I'm going to go peel that off here. So tried for the 2-try roll right under that split. It should have hit the targets, but I'm getting slipped. It's going a little bit too fast there this morning. It says great speed, but it definitely seems like it is a bit ganky. You can feel it kind of snapping on the chart there.
Enigma short on the NQ4.
Okay, going for... Yikes, come on. Alright, wow. Getting slapped around here this morning. That is 2 Enigmas in a row in this area. Getting slapped through here. Cadence of 2. All right, I'm going to do what I needed to do from before. I'm going to get that white line in there for the retry entry. We come back to it. Oh, she's marching up.
Fib.NQ on the 4.
So off of that 4 and 5.5 with the divergence pushed up pretty strong through this area. Here's a red dot at the top of a channel. See if I get an RTOFA event along with it. Currently still in moderate sell.
Double delta NQ on the 4. NQ on the
there
4.
It is. Man, even that is getting snappy. Seuss. 5.8 add to position.
Fib.NQ on the 9. Fib.NQ on the 4. Upper bands
red dot
on the 42. Fib.NQ on the 42.